What's going on, everyone? This is Reggie Haynes, and you are tuned in to another edition of Reggie Haynes in Africa. And today I'm going to answer questions that are asked by people globally about Africa. And let's get right into it. So the first question is, Reggie, are women as bad as cheating women in the West? There's been speculation going around for the longest time about, women having different cultures, like in different, traditions, different parts of the world. And I will say that, have I met women who cheat? Have I met women who are promiscuous? Yes. That's everywhere though. I feel like as many women that you have that are not ideal for relationships, there's just as many who are ideal for relationships. I think it's wrong, and I've done this before. I think it's wrong when you just start categorizing people based off of where they're located, where they were born, or where they, like I said, are located, where they currently are. I think it's one of those things where you have to know a person. If a person shows you tendencies that they are someone who's not fit for a respectable relationship, then I feel like it's up to you to let it be known, okay, this isn't for me, and I'm gonna move on to someone who is for me. So yeah, when it comes down to, are women just as bad as cheating as women in the West? I feel like there's so many great women in the West, and there's so many great women in the motherland and other parts of the world. You just have to know how to see which one is best for you. The next question is, does Africa have electricity issues daily? I've been to, when it comes in regards to living, I've been to 3 countries within the continent of Africa: Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. Now, I would say out of all of them, the worst place that had the place that has the most electrical issues has been Zimbabwe. There have been times where I've stayed in the upscale areas where there's rich people, the middle class, and the middle class. There's been days to where the electricity has been off for 14 hours every day. When it's like the higher up area where there's more rich people, I would say on average about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hours in a day. Electricity goes off at 5, you won't get it back on until 9 p.m. So what they do is load shedding, and they're basically making sure that they have enough electricity to go around the whole entire country or a particular city. And for me, I was in Harare, and while I was in that city, there were electrical issues, but at the same time, there were days where it wasn't. In Malawi though, you'll have electrical issues ever so often, because I usually stay in like the areas that are like middle class and above. And the most that I've ever seen the electricity go out on a consistent basis would be about like an hour, if that, on a day-to-day basis. There will be times to where electricity goes out in Malawi, and you're looking at, on average for me, probably like 20, 30 minutes, if that. So I would say Malawi is way better when it comes in regards to conducting electricity for the people that are, that are living here. Yeah, that's my take on, the electrical issues in the countries that I've stayed in. Zambia, when I was there wasn't really much electricity issues, but when I was in Zimbabwe, it was election season. Things weren't too good, economically speaking. Malawi, that's always how it is, because I've been in Malawi for over a year. When it comes down to Zambia though, I wasn't there that long, so I would have to do more research. But while I was there for a short time, there was no electricity issues from what I could see. The next question, why do people say that Africa is 10 years behind the West? That's an ongoing thing that's been happening for a long time. People are saying that even in the UK. I feel like people look at America as this powerhouse that a lot of people need to catch up and be just like, if not better. I feel like Africa is the motherland for a reason. I feel like it's the greatest place on earth. And I feel like I've seen things in Africa that are like way more advanced than any other place where I've been on this planet. And I say that to say this, it's a mindset. When you're telling yourself constantly, oh, we're behind, oh, we're slow, oh, we need to catch up, that's where you're gonna forever be. But if you say, you know what, I'm phenomenal, I'm advanced, I know for a fact I don't need to catch up, you need to catch up to me. Even though that's a competitive mindset, which I don't condone, I do feel like there are people who, at the end of the day, they need to change the mindset of I'm behind, and they need to say, you know what, I'm not. I am on a level where I know for a fact that I will never look at someone else as being better than me or, you know, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I know that because I'm on the greatest place in the world. I'm on the motherland, where people from the West come here, grab resources, and they make a big time profit, or they start creating phenomenal inventions, you know, based off of the resources that they've taken from where I am. So that should tell a lot of people within the motherland a lot. And that tells me that you're never behind if you are a part of the motherland, if you're a part of Africa, if you are, you know, just a part of, you know, greatness. You're not behind. You are definitely way ahead. You just have to keep that in mind and live accordingly. The next question is, do men kill their wives or women for cheating? Whew. To be continued. In all seriousness, I've read articles where men do kill their wives. I've read articles where there's a lot of men who abuse their women. See, me, I'm not going to abuse you. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to move on from you, because at the end of the day, you know, why would I want to stay with someone? Why would I want to allow someone to get me to that breaking point? Like I said earlier in this video, I've dated cheaters. I've dated abusive women, verbally abusive, you name it. And I see that that's probably the environment that they are immune to or just used to. And I move away from that. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to fight. It's one of those things where you could just move on. One thing I would always tell men is that, look, at the end of the day, there is no need to, you know, put your hands on a woman or even try to murder her or be negative towards her. When a woman shows you that she's not to be trusted, when a woman shows you that she is an inhumane coward, and she starts using the excuse, well, men do it too, but it wasn't that man that you cheated on. There's no excuse for cheating, but people do it anyway. There's no excuse for abuse. People do it anyway. I always tell men, don't ever allow a woman to get you to that point. This was passed on to me by some phenomenal women who helped show me the way in regards to, like, hey, look, this is how you know what's best for you. This is how you know it's not. And you just move on from there. I feel like there's a lot of men who they need to recognize, like, look, man, if that woman's not for you, you can move on to someone who is. I'm guaranteeing there's a woman out there for every man out there, statistically speaking. But at the same time, don't ever allow a woman to get you to that point, leading you to lose sight that, hey, if you did everything right, if you gave it 100% and the woman stepped out, that's her loss, not yours. The next question is, Reggie, is it hard to understand the African language? I would say it's not hard to understand any African language. Out here, they have tons of different languages. Being in Zimbabwe, it's Shona. Being in Malawi, Tumbuka, Chichewa. Swahili is for Nigeria and other parts of the world. So for me, at the end of the day, I always make it a task for me to where when I'm at a location for 3 months, learn the language. So that way you're not being scammed. That way you're not being misused, abused. People are trying to, you know, take advantage. Always learn the language. So it's one of those things to where I've taught myself how to learn these, learn these languages, because when I try to find people who are teachers, they'll mock you, or they will try to, you know, be hesitant with teaching you because they don't know what you're trying to gain. Somebody who's outside of our race, who's outside of the melanated race, they'll teach them like that, or they'll translate with no problem. Things are very backwards in some African minds, and I'm talking about globally. My thing is, if I have a resource, I'm going to help those who I feel like are not slave-minded, and definitely trying to help us, we as a people, progress. And have I had some of those teachers? Yeah, quite a few. But at the same time, when those teachers are busy, I don't want to be a burden, so I start teaching myself. So the language barrier is not tough for me, because I know learning different things can be tough. It leads to stress. Stress can lead to anger and all these other things can lead to confusion and a lot of other negative, a lot of other negative things. But I try my best not to get involved with that. I learn the language and I move on and I progress from there. So the language barrier is not bad at all. And for those people out there, they have translating apps and stuff. So that's another thing that you can, you know, definitely utilize if you're trying to learn a language or recognize what people are saying when you don't understand what they're saying as they're speaking another language. Last question, Reggie, what has been your best day in Africa? You know what? you deal with a lot, you know, being a public figure. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. You know, I know I've had a pretty good career. Part of it is thanks to you guys, thanks to my team, Charles, Kudzi, Michael, thanks to my, you know, supporters. But at the same time, I know for a fact that with me, you know, being who I am, doing the things that I do, being outspoken, even having this channel, you're going to have a lot of people that's going to try to bring your day down, make it bad. Nah, I can't allow that. Why? Because I know for a fact that if I allow anyone to take away from my happiness, I have gave them power that they don't deserve. I deserve full power over my life, and that's how I'm going to live it. So every day is a great day in Africa for me. Have I had days to where I've been sad or depressed? But you know what I do? I wake up, I go for nature walks. You know, I listen to positive music. I hear the people outside doing African ceremonies, and I just embrace, you know, how phenomenal the motherland is. And Africa has done so many phenomenal things for me. There's a lot of negative things that people try to put on Africa. I don't go with that. My thing is this: Africa's a phenomenal place, and I feel like we as a melanated people should treat the motherland accordingly. And for those people who have tuned in, I thank you so much. And for those people who want to see me break down more African myths, click the link on screen.